Hey Naomi, thanks so much for joining the show today.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. And to get started, I'd love to learn a little bit about your journey in research.
Yeah, so I'm currently the director of UX research at LinkedIn. I've been there just for about 3 months, and I have a broad background in research. So I started out getting a PhD in cognitive psychology. I worked in market research for several years on the vendor or agency side, really specialized in research. Then I moved into tech. I was at Facebook leading marketing research for a few years. I went on to Pinterest and led advertising research globally. And then I moved over to Uber, where I led a people research team within human resources. So reporting into people analytics and leading kind of very different quantitative researchers and data scientists focused on understanding the organization and employees and their experience of being an employee at Uber. I then went back to Facebook. Facebook turned into Meta, and I started leading user experience research teams. So I joined kind of the largest or one of the largest UXR organizations, in the industry. This was right
Nice.
for the pandemic and led a variety of different UXR teams at Meta focused on kind of community product groups. So think of the groups product broadly at Facebook. And we did 0 to 1 products. And I kind of got, immersed in the kind of product research world. I spent about 3 years at Workday leading UXR across the whole company, and then have just moved over and joined LinkedIn a few months ago.
Wow. My first question is, what have you seen to effectively lead research teams through your career? How do you approach leadership?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I lean into transparency in leadership a lot, and it's kind of one of my core leadership principles. I like to bring my whole self to work. I tend to share a lot about what's going on, not just top of mind for me and with leadership, but also on a personal level. And I find if I start with understanding the people, especially within my team, that builds the right relationships and that then, yields better outcomes for the business longer term. So I focus first kind of down and in on that team of researchers that I'm leading. Then I form kind of relationships across other research leaders, maybe peer cross-functional leaders in design and product, et cetera. And then beyond that, kind of up and out. So who are the kind of the executive level people that I need to get to know and influence. And I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to, you're effectively exchanging energy with other people and it's down to a human to human interaction. And so I really lean into that sort of authenticity and transparency and really getting to know people on a human level. And it's sort of the same approach that I take with my teams for studying our users and our members. I really take that into my leadership in terms of studying my own role. So again, studying the people within my team, the people that I sort of need to influence across, and the people kind of up and out that I need to influence as well.
What about like this year, right? There's some scary stuff on the horizon, like AI is coming for research jobs, and obviously a lot of teams went through some pretty tough layoffs over the past year and a half. So how do you kind of like lead through that?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced all those ups and downs and sort of the last two roles, kind of seeing the evolution of tech and where things are headed. Um, and I do think, taking that authentic approach and being really open and honest that as leaders, things are equally as hard for us. And being really open with people about the challenges that we're facing does help bring a more authentic tone to what everyone is experiencing. And it's kind of helped us kind of come together and push through some of these challenges. That being said, I do think there are some changes in the future, and it is really challenging being someone that has to navigate other people through changes. Certainly layoffs, aren't just coming for research, but have been coming for all sorts of functions across tech. I think the skills that got us here are not the skills that are going to take us forward in the next decade or two. And I think some of the most important things are really embracing a growth mindset and trying to get a feel for what those kind of next generation skills are, and starting to think less about our roles within a particular, let's say, company or industry, but more about like the security of the skills that we upskill in, like the things that we become really strong at. And some of those are kind of characteristics like soft skills, like the ability to navigate ambiguity, building resilience, or having a positive mindset. Like some of these things that seem so basic
Yeah.
in this world where things are changing so frequently and so dramatically, often those like core characteristics are actually what get us through to the other side.
Yeah, totally agree. The soft skills are super important. You're touching on it here, like it's going to change, right? It's changing. So what do you think the future of research looks like if you look into your crystal ball?
Yeah, such a good question. And it's such a challenging one as someone who like comes from this kind of traditional research background. But, I am getting a feel for a sense that it's going to look pretty dramatically different. And I do think eventually AI is going to be able to do some core components of a researcher's job. We're already
Yeah.
seeing some tools that can summarize large amounts of information. So, things like doing a literature review or even collect data for us. Or, yeah, eventually I've seen that are doing one-on-one interviews through.
Yeah, surveys,
Yeah,
interviews. Yeah.
exactly. So some of the hard like methodological skill or like statistical analysis, like things like that, I think AI will get, 80+% of the way there
Yeah.
in terms of executing that. I think where AI won't be able to get is like the interpretation, the so what of that, and then the landing it with the appropriate people in the appropriate context. And that you just can't replicate because there's no way all the information from all the meetings and all the experiences that individuals encounter can possibly go into every single AI tool. And so if I know that some executive likes presentations done a certain way, and I know to tell my team to make modifications such that the story is going to land particularly well for this person, like maybe we can get 80% of the way there with AI, but there's no way it can take it
Yeah.
all the way there for that level of like impact and persuasion. So I don't think researchers' jobs are going away, but I do think they're going to be different going forward. And that is definitely a scary thing. And I am
Yeah.
getting the sense just within the industry that researchers are looking internally and trying to decide like, how do I become more flexible in my thinking of my future, my career? If I want to stay a researcher, what are those soft skill areas I need to get really strong in and have some unique contribution or, really demonstrate my value in? Or do I want to become more T-shaped? Do I want to broaden my expertise? Do I want to become more than a researcher? There's that happening as well. And I think the approach I've taken over the last 10 or 15 years is to be a broad research leader so I can manage a lot of different research functions, but that's still a pretty specialized, career path. I'm not sure there's going to be as many of those types of roles in the future. I think it's going to go more generalized.
Last question here. What advice do you have for someone thinking about UX research and how to break in today?
Yeah, so I'm in a fortunate position where I have a second job where I get to teach at USC in this master's program,
Nice.
applied psychology. So I get to advise young people all the time that are looking to break in to UXR or market research or really, broad applied psychology careers. And again, for me, it's all about like the characteristics that are key to being successful at any job. So it's having a growth mindset, being a quick learner. Like to me, marketing yourself, let's say you have a PhD, so you've been very specialized in a very small niche part of research. Instead, think about yourself as a learner, someone that can pick things up quickly. So it's about like, how do you market the skills that you have in a way that's going to be applicable to a broad set of industry roles? And then how do you develop those soft skills? Networking is going to be ever the more important in this next generation. And what is that even going to look like? Like there's just, I really feel like we're on the precipice of a new set of sort of tech careers and this broader, less specialized focus. And I think you have to think of that really as an opportunity versus somehow detrimental. And the
A
people
threat. Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
can see it in a positive way and see it as an opportunity are the people that are going to find the right ways to add value to businesses.
So true. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said. Thanks so much for joining the show today. And yeah, is there anywhere where people can go to learn more or follow?
LinkedIn is the best place to find me. So yeah, find me on LinkedIn, Naomi Grewal. And yeah, happy to chat. And yeah, love talking to young people about research careers.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alex.